Hi guys, it's Mrs. Wine. Welcome back to art class. Before you get started this week, I would like for you to grab your sketches that you did of the circles last week. Because this week, we're going to be starting to create our final discs for our sculpture. So I'm going to say goodbye and let's get started. Our learning target today says, I will create and design my discs for my sculpture. And before we get started, it's always a good idea to stop and look at our work from last week. We're going to use our show and grow rubric, and we're going to think about how we can revise our work or how we can make it better. So look at the discs or the circles that you designed last week. First, we're going to be looking at the art elements and concepts. Did you use lines and shapes to create designs on the discs? Did you balance your colors in the design? That means you don't have one disc that's all blue and another disc that's all orange. You divided those colors up. It also means you move those colors around and spread them out on your discs. If you didn't do that, then you'll know today, as you're working, that would be your grow. You want to make sure that those colors are designed. Next, we want to work on neatness. Let's take a look. Are your pencil lines light? And if you made mistakes, were you able to erase them all the way? If not, your grow this week would be to press softly with that pencil. Are your lines smooth and even? If they're not, maybe your grow could be to get a ruler or something with a straight edge to help you draw the lines straight and neat. And finally, did you color neatly? That means there are no peekaboos. You colored in one direction and you stayed inside the lines. If you didn't do that on the sketch, you don't need to go back and fix the sketch. That will just be your grow for what you want to do this week to make your artwork better. And finally, lines and shapes are used to create interesting and unique designs. If you have new ideas today to make your designs more interesting, that could absolutely be a grow. So let's see what we need to do. This week, we're going to be using the art elements of line, shape, and color to design our discs for our sculpture. So there's a lot of vocabulary in this project that I want to review. You'll notice the vocabulary words on these slides are underlined. A disc is simply a fancy word for a flat circle. Kind of like a frisbee is a disc that you can play with in the park. So we're going to be creating our sculptures out of discs, out of flat circles. Next, the vocabulary is sculpture. Sculpture is a three-dimensional or 3D artwork like a statue. So it could be a statue of a person, like the famous Auguste Rodin sculpture called The Thinker, or it could be more abstract, which is what our artwork is like, just different shapes put together. And how are we going to make those designs using the elements of art? Think about what kind of different lines you know. Straight, curvy, zigzag, and there's certainly many more. Think about what you know about shape. There are two different groups of shape. They're the geometric shapes that have a name, like circle, triangle, square, rectangle. And remember, they're also organic shapes, shapes that do not have a name and are inspired by nature, like a raindrop shape or a leaf shape or a cloud shape. And then finally, think about the different colors that you want to use in your sculpture. Last week, I asked you to pick just 4 colors. So this week when you're coloring, you'll be using those same 4 colors, or you could choose different colors this week, but it is important that you use the same 4 colors, only 4. So what are we going to do? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to think about how we created our designs, layering lines and shapes on our discs. Here's one of the examples by the artist that we're using as our inspiration, Joel Enrique. Notice his designs are very simple. He has a smaller circle on top of a bigger circle on top of a bigger circle. You could also use lines like this student did. You see they have curved lines, and where those curved lines overlap and intersect, it creates some interesting organic shapes. You can also keep the design very simple, such as this design that's only straight lines, and then they use different colors. So there are lots of different design ideas that you can see and borrow here, and absolutely you want to try to create some of your own. Next, you're going to want to use templates or something you can trace around to draw your discs. You need to draw 4 to 8 discs. So 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. Then you want to use those templates and rulers to create layers of shapes and lines on your disc using your pencil. And then finally, you're ready to color. Add color using your same 4 colors on every single design you draw. You can watch the next video and I will demonstrate to you how to draw the discs. Then when you're finished, come back and use the same rubric that we started with to assess and revise your work. Are you filling up the page or filling up your discs with lines and shapes to create designs? Are you balancing your colors? Are you working on neatness by pressing softly with your pencil, using a ruler or a template to make the lines smooth and even, and coloring neatly with no peekaboos, color that is in one direction and inside the lines? And finally, are you using lines and shapes to create interesting and unique designs? When you're finished, you can take a photo of your work and send it to me so I can see what you are doing. I will be happy to give you feedback in Google Classroom, and you will know how to make your discs the best you can before we cut them out and put them together next week. So this week is all about drawing and designing. I hope you have a great week and keep on creating.